when they first announced this game, a remake to the classic 2013 game. At first, I had the same thought as many of you. Do we actually need it? But then, I saw gameplay. Alright, the gameplay does look pretty good, but do we actually need it? And then I kind of started looking at the detail in their faces.
Not her, you know.
What?
Maria told me about Sarah.
Ellie?
And
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
I'm sorry about your daughter, Joel, but I have lost people too.
You have no idea what loss is.
Still, I thought to myself, I don't need it. And then I started to see the difference in terms of the environment, how great it looked from PS3 to PS5.
Just so it's out there, I can't swim. I'm glad Marlene hired you guys. What do you mean?
And then, at this stage, I cracked. And I realized,
I need it!
this remake has completely blown me away. And visually, it is a masterpiece. And in the review today, I'm going to answer this question, is it worth it for you? Because hopefully, by the end of this video, I'll help you realize whether or not you need it as much as I need it.
So is that everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out. But man, can't deny that view.
What's up guys, welcome to That Freaking Geek, and today I'll be basically gushing over The Last of Us Part 1. Naughty Dog are absolute wizards, and somehow they managed to make a perfect game even more perfect. And that kind of like messes with my brain a little bit, how is something more perfect, like that kind of messes with the definition. Anyway, I'm gonna go crazy the more I think about it. And I'm not saying this because Kudu gave me this game, no, I'm not. And talking of Kudu actually, like they're fantastic. And you should go check them out. Like, go look at their website. They have amazing games. They have amazing merchandise. They have an amazing set of consoles that, you know, if you're looking at buying anything gaming related, they're a perfect place to go to. But anyway, let's get into my review. Straight up, in the beginning of this, I just want to say that this is not a review about whether or not you should be playing The Last of Us. If you haven't played The Last of Us yet, like, you absolutely should. It is worth it no matter what version of the game you're playing it on. However, this is more the PS5 version, the remake. What makes this remake different? I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about what made it special, about why, if you may be a returning player, about why you should maybe pick up the game again. Arguably, the best thing about this game is the story. And so in it, it's basically the same story that you got from the 2013 game. Instead, they are working very hard to make the story come to life, such as making some subtle but substantial changes to the facial animations, making it way more lifelike, making it more accurate to the actors and actresses that performed and did these incredible performances for us, and such as Ellie and the sadness that you see in her face, or Joel and you see the frustration in his face. Like, all these different animations coming together to make for a lot more seamless experience when you watch and play the game. Some characters in this game look slightly different, such as the infamous Tess, who in the original looked a little bit younger than how she looks in the remake. And I think that this older look to her actually better represents the messed up world she now lives in. She looks traumatized. She looks like she is part of a world that is not doing okay. Then you look at Bill, who's probably my favorite secondary character, and there you see him looking way more like how his personality comes out. He is comprehensive, he is untrustworthy, and all of that is coming out in his facial animations, and it's absolutely incredible. And on top of all that, the game in the past actually rendered its cutscenes differently than how it renders it in the remake. In the original, the cutscenes are all video clips, whereas in the game, they're actually rendered like in real time, which is amazing. And what that does for the remake is that instead of cutting to black, the game actually goes from cutscene to gameplay, and it's way more immersive. And talking about the gameplay, let's get into it. Just like the story, the gameplay is mostly untouched. Instead, this time the developers are working their butts off to make sure that the game is as captivating as they possibly can make it. In this game, it is a survival horror game, and in it, you are in a lot of situations that are intense and that are desperate, because in those moments, you are making sure that you get the right time to make that perfect blow. You're getting that right angle to make that perfect shot, and all of that makes an intense and satisfying game, and the developers have taken it to the next level in this remake. Largely thanks to the incredible, sensational animations that they have in this game, it is feeling way better than it did back in 2013. And at first glance, you might think to yourself, that can't possibly be true. It looks very similar. But I challenge you, go back and play that 2013 game. The game is not as good as you might have remembered, because there's a lot that's happened over the last 10 years. A lot of small quality of life improvements have happened in the gaming in the last couple of years. And so while it looks kind of the same and plays kind of the same, I can promise you that for a fact that it feels and plays a lot better now. For anyone that might have hoped that the gameplay improvements from Part 2 made their way into Part 1, unfortunately that isn't the case. And if you think about it, it actually wouldn't make much sense. A lot of the mission designs from Part 2 came with it the new gameplay. And so for it to take that gameplay, such as like crawling through the grass, and put it into this game, it wouldn't make much sense. And seeing Joel crawl through the grass might look kind of weird, and not, because Ellie would obviously be a lot more flexible and would look more natural with her crawl. Anyway, wouldn't look right. And so the mission design wouldn't make sense if they took that new gameplay and put it into Part 1. And talking about the mission designs, oh my gosh, the environments in this game look incredible. Now look, you have to do a side-by-side comparison to truly see the vast difference that this remake is making. However, I do recommend that you maybe go check out a video from Digital Foundry. Their tech review of The Last of Us Part 1 is phenomenal and goes into so much detail about the differences that the remake has made compared to the original. Like, you have to look at it as a side-by-side comparison, because there you'll see how different it actually looks. However, me personally, I will say there were times where I'm like, hey, this kind of feels more or less the same and how I kind of felt all those years ago. However, it has oodles of incredible graphics, and I was not disappointed in how much detail they brought into the game this time. This game allows you to choose between two different modes, one being a 4K 30 frames and the other one being a 1440p with 60 frames. But what's so impressive about this is that either modes both have the same amount of detail, and so therefore all you're choosing is between more frames and more resolution, which is really great because it really shows off how incredible this game looks. And on top of all that, what is most impressive to me is the lighting. Naughty Dog have used their wizardry to make some of the most ultra realistic lighting I've seen in a video game yet, especially when it comes to the explosions. It's something that you don't want to look away from. It is that mesmerizing. Couple the incredible visuals with a 3D audio headset, the sound design is so good that you'll think that the clicker is actually right behind you. And that is very much the reason why I think that this game world is even more immersive than it was all those years ago when it first launched. So in the end, do I think this is worth your money? Well, actually, I think this is actually up to you. It's entirely subjective whether or not you think that all these upgrades are worth the full price. Instead, what I actually think is that people who are more casual, who have played the game recently over the last couple of years, who've played the remaster, maybe for them it's not really worth it, considering that they've already experienced this game. Instead, I think this is more worth it for people like me, people who absolutely love this franchise. And so if you love this franchise, guys, it is an absolute treat, all the incredible improvements that this game has brought. So personally, I think that as soon as the budget became available for it, I would want to pick it up. And so that is entirely up to you about whether or not it is justified for you to want to pay for this game. And some people are saying that, hey, this is a cash grab. And to that, I would say I can see where you're coming from, but I don't think that's the full truth. Instead, how I see this is that it's Naughty Dog giving a love letter to their fans and going, hey, we know how much you love this, like here's a better way to experience it. And for people who've never played, here's the ultimate way to experience it. And for me, that is amazing, and I love that, and I think it's worth it. And so, if I could give a game an 11, I would give this game an 11, but a 10 will just have to do for now. And yeah, guys, I really do recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm now very excited to get back into part 2, to replay part 2, and I'm really excited for that HBO series. Like, what do you think about all that? I'd love to know in the comments. You know what to do. Subscribe if you enjoyed it, liked if you enjoyed it. It'd be so great to have you. But that's it from me. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.